So very good morning and welcome, and we're in for a truly international conversation today. I'll introduce our panellists. Immediately to my left, Brother Tor from Iceland. Now, I don't know if it's still the case, but Iceland used to have the most number of BKs per any population in the world. There's 350 people living in Iceland, and according to the number of BKs there were more BKs in Iceland than any other country. Is that still the case?
I'm not sure.
We're not sure. So Brother Tor, his role is as the national coordinator there. Previously he was accompanied by his wife. So unique in that Iceland is the only country in the world that had a national coordinating team of a husband and wife. So truly Vishnu. And so Tor was sharing with me that they took the knowledge in the Pandav Bhavan in, I think it was 96, and I've been following this life for about 20 years. Next to Thor we have Sister Rajni. So Rajni is someone who had the pleasure of actually meeting Mama and Baba as a young girl, and in the 70s she committed herself to this life, and she was sustained. The list of seniors from whom she's taken sustenance and been trained by is a who's who of the Brahmin world. 4 years with Daddy Gulzar, being closely with Daddy Janki, Didi Manmohini, Didi Nirmala, Sister Mohini in New York, and so the list goes on. And she's been serving in Japan and the Philippines for the last 25, 30 years. And then finally on the other side we have Sister Patricia, who's been in Gyan from Brazil. She's been in Gyan for the last 29 years. And perhaps appropriate to our topic, which is about vulnerability, she's a dentist by her Lokik profession. So I think you'll agree sitting in a dentist chair is a very vulnerable place to be. So she has some very practical experience there. And so a very warm welcome to you all. And the question is, where is the benefit in having the courage to be vulnerable? So where is the benefit in having the courage to be vulnerable? So I'll start with Brother Tor. How would you explain what it means to be vulnerable? Is that different from being weak, and how so?
Om Shanti. I think when we come to Baba for the first time, then we come with all our history, our experiences of the cycle, everything we have acquired, and the weaknesses and vulnerabilities. And I think that is our weakest point, weakest time, when we come and we put on the white dress, but we are actually just sutras in white. So I think that is our lowest time in history. So from my point of view, that is the starting point. And then Baba begins to work on us and transform our weaknesses and make us back to what we were in the beginning and where we are aiming for. So I would see that as our weakest point. and where we are then working from that moment. And Baba, of course, has his magic and does a lot in the beginning years and through your knowledge and yoga, and there is a lot of transformation that takes place. But it's an ongoing process, I think, to the last moment of our Brahmin and of the confluence age. So I think we are now at a very, very interesting times when there is both an opportunity and a need for us to take some serious steps and serious look at our what we need to do now.
Om Shanti. So, when I came to Raj Yoga, 8 years old, it is beautiful. Very nice childhood. Then I stayed in my spiritual life with dadis, also very nice. When I went to the West, then I said, wow, this is really a journey. Eh? I came to realize a lot of my weaknesses. Before that, I am as a Lokik, college student and go sometime to the center, every weekend. But real transformation started to take place when I went to London, first time to stay with Dadi Janki. Then I came to know what is Brahmin life. Is to face my own weaknesses with truth and not to be false, not to shy, not to show my ego that I am something but inside other thing. So this is my starting point. That's what I call, facing my weakness with truth.
I think for me it's a little bit different because I never had the opportunity to be so close to Dadi Janki, never lived with her or even with the seniors. But I think that there are two things about it. One thing is that as much as we start to, to kind of discover or connect more with our light, it becomes more obvious all the things that are still hidden inside ourselves and doesn't match, with this light, this aim, this perfection, this spiritual even being that we start to recognize inside ourselves. So from one side, I think it happens as a consequence of being able to connect with the subtlety inside, that the gross aspects start to be more visible, let's say. But also I think that the drama itself, life itself, service, whatever, the big mirror which is the Brahmin family, also help us to recognize many of these things that otherwise are going to be hidden inside ourselves, and I suppose as even blockages that doesn't allow us really to be able to see truth. So I don't think there is an option, basically.
You've actually you've preempted my next question, because I was going to ask, as has been mentioned, we come to Brahman life, Baba tells us, with a flat battery. We have the least energy at that time, and as a result, our vices, our weaknesses are, quite strong. Is it possible for us to progress in BK life without being vulnerable? Maybe if you'd like to answer, Patricia, we can come back this way.
Anyway, I don't think I have the authority here to say yes or no once whatever I'm doing is just kind of exploring as well. I mean, as much as all of you, I suppose. But I think that maybe there is a way in the sense that if you are so much in that absolute state of awareness and all of these things are just going to lose importance and maybe dissolve themselves. Or then the other way, I believe, is that you get this connection with your true being and you kind of develop enough kind of another kind of self-respect that allows you to see yourself and then to kind of recognize, to accept, to give a name to all of these blockages, which could be, let's say, shame or fear or insecurity or uncertainties, whatever. And it seems to me that when we kind of see and accept and give a name, and then you start to deal with these things with another, it's not challenging your self-image anymore, no? It's like you are dealing with your own ego somehow, looking for something which is more truthful.
Before coming to Madhuban, I have been listening a lot of classes of Jagdish Bhai. One question he asked, really you want to be a yogi? One has to decide. Yogi life is not a fun life, not an easy life, but there is a lot of internal change work. So first I think to be very clear when I become yogi, why I should be very clear. Then of course the work of Brahmin, the task of Brahmin, the yogi life means not to be careless about my change. So what happens, weaknesses come, and if old sanskars of carelessness, if I don't recognize, then I am delaying my process. Even my mind going here and there, I delay my process of change. So I think in Brahmin life, I want to be all that constantly connected with my very clear aim, which helps me to do this my process of change. If I just become careless to lose my focus on my internal aim of yogi life, change of my very deep incognito sanskar, then I will be delaying. You know? So I think I am very clear about, So if weakness comes, I don't need to feel shy or go around here and there, show ego. That is not going to help me anyway. I'm not in the right position at that time. Just in my experience, focus. My experience is clear touch with my aim. It's very necessary for me to be in that process of change, because the mind, even though we are talking, if my mind is going into any attraction, I'm not in the process of change. I delayed it. If my mind is going into any distraction, attraction, repulsion, hate, I am not in the process of change in this world. So all these weaknesses must come in front of the screen of my mind. I recognize, but I don't go into thinking about that. But recognize is good. And keeping my mind above that, and keeping the process of change going on. That is my method.
I think that the key element for progress is to be absolutely honest, to be ruthlessly honest about the self, and not wanting to fool the self in any way. Because I think that is one of the biggest mistakes in Brahmin life, is that we think we are further than we are, and we are not really willing to face ourselves. And maybe the easiest way to find where I need to work is to look into my own relationships, the relationships of this one last birth. Because in our relationships, everything is reflected. Our whole story, all our lives are in a way reflected in this one relationship, in this one lifetime. And we have a relationship with our parents, we have a relationship with teachers in the center, we have spouses, brothers, sisters, work partners, everyone in our lives, they are there as a reflection of what it is that we need to take a look at in ourselves. And I believe that all these people, they are there as a mirrors. And if we don't have them, we cannot see what it is we have to work with. So they are absolutely essential for our progress. And if we blame someone else for being difficult, then we are fooling ourselves. Then we are not taking that full responsibility of what it is that I have to look at. I think it is all about looking at the self. We don't have to change anyone outside. We only have to change our own beliefs, our own subconscious shadows, the things that we have accumulated over the centuries. Actually, it's all inside us. It's like all written on the chit or the discus or on the soul, whatever we call it. But to be willing to see it and willing to look at it, I think that is the courage that is needed and the honesty that is needed. And with these two qualities, I think we can take a jump. And that is my sense, that it's now a time for taking a jump. By really being honest and have that courage to look inside.
May I ask one thing related with what Rajin Ben said, or?
Yes.
Because another day I was listening to a class, and of course it was very beautifully said, everything, and we can understand and we can accept, and even we want, we have this aim, and we want to practice. But sometimes it seems to me that there is a bridge lacking between the knowledge that we understand, that we accept, and we want to apply, and still all this human factor that exists inside ourselves, because we kind of create a little bit an idealistic image of what it means to be a BK. But in practical life, sometimes come in the middle of the way. So what would bridge this, in your opinion? Aim would be one thing, but what else? So it's just a practical experience.
Aim is clear, and then correct application of knowledge. At that time, the right corrected point of Gyan emerges in my intellect in the right time with the right aim. That is called power of knowledge, isn't it? Because for example, I'm having the aim. Aim is okay in front of me, but a whole day when I am reflecting Baba's Gyan, churning Baba's Gyan during the day, what I saw, that those correct applicated, or you can call it correct application of Gyan point emerge in the right time, in the right scene of drama which is needed. So that time I felt even the weakness, sanskara, old sanskara emerged. My aim is to change this sanskara, but the right knowledge point using at that time helped me to clear it. But the right point emerge in the right time is the challenge. And that's why I realized that a whole day my mind has to be busy either in churning jnana or remembrance. If it is going somewhere again, I bring back to churning. So that that Baba's understanding of knowledge, I am reflecting, and at the right time is emerging. That's what my effort is. Otherwise, later it comes, oh, I should have done like this. No? And the scene of drama passed. And the clash took place, confrontation took place, the hurt took place, disturbance came, relationship spoiled. Later, thought came, oh, I could have been like this. So I realized that is too late, delayed the process. It was not in the right time. But I realized, at least, and then next time, the right point emerging in the right scene of drama, with the right relationship, where am I at that time? That is my work I'm doing.
It's a lovely place to be in when a situation comes before us and we think, how am I going to respond to this situation, in terms of how I behave or how I answer to someone. And then we move through the situation, and then to look back and think, I played the game well. When that situation comes again, I'm comfortable that I know how to do that. So
even thinking, again I will be comfortable, but Maya is very clever, gives uncomfortable situation in the drama. So I cannot even take the support of that which I did comfortably. So it means, to me, it's like a constant alert stage, and it can be in very different ways, scene of drama coming. And from the same soul, it can come from, different way, the situation, and the answer is also different. But I think the using the right point at that time, emerging automatically, in my awareness, I don't need to think at that time, but it emerges, it comes automatically, and the situation gets solved. And I saw the vibrations were still and stable. I did not come into any account of karma, so I felt good result. It's the right application of jnana. But it has to emerge, so I realized churning has to go on whole day. I cannot delay my process,
Can I share with you an image? And I think it'll be an image that most of us can relate to. When I was thinking about the topic of vulnerability, and most of us would remember as a child learning how to ride a bicycle.
Passing?
A bicycle.
Bicycle.
So often what happens is that you'll have your parent behind you and they'll be holding the bicycle seat. Yeah? So you have a support and you gain your balance and you're moving along, and you move along on the basis that you feel that there is a support there. And then after some time you look over your shoulder and you realize that your father's not there or your mother's not there, and that you've been riding the bicycle by yourself for a little while. But then when we feel vulnerable, that's when we fall off the bicycle. So I was just thinking, if to be vulnerable is part of the process, what are the risks? Because it's not necessarily a comfortable place to be in. To be in that place where we're facing our shadows or facing our weaknesses. There's a risk involved. If it was comfortable, we'd just jump straight in and go for it. But we have a hesitation. So there must be some sort of risk. How would you describe what they are?
Well, I think that when there is a risk, that is when we are challenged with something. And I think that is the most interesting time in the whole process, because that's when we are facing what we have to look at. And that is the interesting bit, because that's only then that we take steps. I think that living a waiting yoga, waiting Brahmin life, waiting for something to happen, it's not interesting anymore. I've been spending too much time in waiting, and I think it's now time for really acting and facing every scene in our Brahmin life, every scene, every relationship we have. In offices, in our personal life, in the center, with our Lokik family, wherever we go, with the buses, with the drivers, everywhere. We are meeting people and they are triggering something. And what they are triggering is what we have to look at. And that is where the challenges lie. It's really in our daily relationship with each other. And to be able to own that as my own responsibility. I think that is the key thing, that I am the one who is creating my Brahmin life. And now we are creating our future. We are creating the golden age. We are creating the next cycle in a way. And everything that we are faced with is part of the cleaning process. And I feel like it is now in many, many centers and all over, a lot of people are faced with difficulties, there are problems, there are conflicts in relationships, people are not getting along in centers, and that is a reality that has to be faced and not to be, moved away and put under the carpet, but something that we have to face. Why am I not, what is my stage today? And am I able to have a loving relationship with everybody, genuinely loving relationship? Or am I able to have a powerful relationship, like Sister was asking us yesterday, are we really powerful? And why are we not completely in our power? And I think it has to do with the fact that we have not been able to clean our subconscious mind. There are things there that we have allowed to wobble along somehow, and we have not been able to face or willing or had the courage to face. And these weaknesses, I would like to call them shadows or egg flowers or whatever we call it. Yeah, dust, rust, to really want to look at it and give it to Baba. And the easy way I see is to use the relationship. Especially the difficult relationship. They are the most important relationship. The nice relationships are no problem. You say Om Shanti, hello, Om Shanti, goodbye. But where there is a little bit of rubbing, where there is like a little bit of tension, that is the important relationship to look at, because that is where my stuff is lying. And I see it as my responsibility to clean up my relationships, every relationship, until they're completely clean, nothing left. And then we have a wonderful center, very good cooperation, everyone sustaining each other. That is what I see as the call of the time now, at least for me. And that is the interesting part. Yeah, that's about.
Patricia, the risks of being vulnerable?
I think it depends on the perspective, because I was thinking that vulnerability, it has to do with trust. And if we think about Baba, let's say, and how much do we trust Baba and Baba trusts us, in this perspective, there are no risks at all, because we are protected, and we have this feeling that somehow we are protected. and he understands. But then there are also all the risks that applies, I think, to the ego, basically, no? I mean, it's the risks for the ego, that you can kind of ending up losing your reputation or your role or an opportunity, whatever. So it's all fake as well somehow, no? This is not, I mean, it's not the most important thing. It's not the reason for why are we here, no? We are not here for any of these things. So it's also not risky in this way. But I was thinking also for us, let's say if we want to create a safe environment for people to be able to kind of see themselves and discover themselves, how much we as a family, we are still so judgmental of other people's stories, of whatever they pass through, and how many filters we have inside ourselves through which we interpret, we tend to interpretate whatever people tells us. So I think that for all of us, it's always a matter of being able to recognize how much trustworthy we are as well, no? And our centers, let's say, as Thor was saying, and the environment that we create around ourselves, so that we can really allow this process to happen easily and in a more, with less risks. I mean, people will have less perception of the risk, at least.
So when there's trust, there's not that question of risk, or not as much.
I think so, no? Because you are really going to open yourself when you feel there is trust. I mean, you feel this.
It's probably...
And also, one thing more, it is like, of course, trust, like Brahma Baba's time, when every night they used to sit.
These courts, no?
Court, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think souls experienced a safest atmosphere where they could open and tell, this is the mistake I made. And with honesty. And for example, if they were not able to tell, then Baba used to ask, is anyone else has seen anyone, those who made a mistake today? It's such a safe atmosphere. Even the one who saw also had a courage to say, yeah, I saw this person made a mistake. Even the person about whom they are saying, they did not have any enmity feeling coming, because the atmosphere was very safe, very soul conscious, very self-progress aim of talking, that kind of atmosphere where they are opening up as a detached, how we can change ourselves, and no one is taking personalized, and no one is attached with their weaknesses, you know. So that atmosphere Mama Baba created, you know, where we are here to change ourselves, and let's create the atmosphere where we see these weaknesses out of us and how we can change this. So much honesty, trust, safety, pure atmosphere where people felt, release to talk about it. I think that is now we all centers, everywhere we have to create. As we see dadis, no time, didis, no time. In the beginning when double foreigners arrived to the yajna, Dadi Janki used to give lot of time one by one. Avyakt BapDada gave lot of time to, remember double foreigners, whole night sitting with one by one, asking question, giving them direction. Then Dadi also helped. Then Didis also help. Now all these support systems slowly going away. The time has come to become really like connecting with Baba. We call in Hindi Niradhar, without any support. You know, like your own internal change, transformation, you know, that work which you want to really, for that you have come, a connection with one Baba. And how you can do that? That is the time, really taking responsibility internally of my own internal thoughts and feelings, where it is moving, where it is going. As he keeps saying, brother, take responsibility, That is the responsibility. I cannot be careless, I cannot blame, I cannot sit back and complain, I cannot say I have no time. Nothing of that work now. The speed of time is so fast now that really realizing and moving with that understanding. That's what I feel. It's the risk is now to take. It's the risk.
I really agree to what Rajini is saying, that it is the time of full responsibility. And what I have discovered recently is that if I have a little bit of judgment for somebody, I need to find the seed inside myself. And if there is a little bit of sorrow or anger or judgmental at any person, I need to look inside, find it there, and transform it there, give it to Baba. And the magic that happens is that when I release it inside of me, I'm also releasing it inside of the other person, and the other person is becomes free from that weakness. It's like if a person is reflecting something back to me, then it is my responsibility, and by changing it inside of me, the other person becomes free. It's like I am helping the other person to become free by facing it in me, inside of me, instead of judging. So it means I don't have to judge anyone. I don't have to point a finger at anyone and say, you did this, you shouldn't have done this, you were too much that or too little this. It's only about my own consciousness, and that the world around is a big mirror hall of reflection of my own consciousness. So it's like the world is just based on consciousness, our own consciousness, and we don't have to look at anything, we don't have to do anything out there, only inside and in and up, and then things will shift everywhere. And our own relationships become purer and purer. And I think this is the magic that is about to happen now when we take that responsibility of our own states, because the world is, the golden age is going to be inside of us. So it's a lovely process, and the key, that word, the vulnerability, which is actually not a very attractive word in the eyes of the world maybe, but it is really like keystones towards that world, because we have to go along with our, they're like guiding stones to where we are going. That is my vision. So they are the helpful keystones to bring us there, the weaknesses, but it takes courage and it takes honesty, mainly honesty and courage.
Yeah. One more point. Yeah, it is all honesty and truth, really, commitment to this. That's what other day one class of Brother Bridgemohn, he said in one line, Brahma Baba used that spiritual soul power for every scene of drama and integrated. He gave that example. When the income tax people came to ask for tax, look at his one sentence. Will you charge your father? And that person realized the truth, went back. There is no law of land, no need to explain. Spiritual power shifted the consciousness, bring the soul into connection of family feeling. One father, we all are family. It's a really spiritual power. to get that, that spiritual power working of change, having that impact on others. And that's why, when Brijmohan Bhai explained about this class, that how Brahma Baba constantly kept that prakriya, in Hindi we called the process of change going on. Keeping that, he said, consciously be aware. I am in that process of change. 1 second if mind goes into attraction or repulsion, process stopped. It's such a beautiful, this consciousness, beneficial consciousness, spiritual consciousness, very high elevated consciousness, to hold that and work with that consciousness. That is all.
There's, I was just reminded of my own experience early in Brahmin life, and talking with a senior teacher who was saying that when we come to Baba, it's like the soul is, it's almost like there's the bucket of mud, yeah? And as the pure energy, it's like clean water being poured into the bucket of mud. And so what happens is the dirt and the mud that's in the water starts to spill up and spill over. And I think this is part of the aspect of being vulnerable, letting these things come up. Now, on the one hand, when we go through that kind of cleansing process, there's an honesty that's needed. We need to actually admit that part of our role, part of the passage journey of the soul, is that it's there. It can be, there's a balance required. On the one hand, we need to go through the process of facing our shadows and maintain our dignity. But if we focus too much on keeping our dignity, it becomes a goal in itself of just looking good and saving face. How can we negotiate, how we can manage that balance of maintaining our dignity through the process of being vulnerable, but not get caught up in just looking good and looking like the right kind of BK? Patricia?
I think that as time goes by, this thing of looking like a good BK just fades away. It's not the reason why we are here. But, so, I think that we tend to be more truthful anyway with ourselves. But I think that the thing of maintain our dignity, I think it has, again, to do with the safety that we can feel, and the trust that we can have that we are going to be kind of understood. So I don't think, I remember Sister Jayanti, she was saying one time that it shouldn't be an open book that everyone could read, your life. So it's not in such a way that we just kind of expose ourselves, but really to know to whom, to open ourselves in such a way that it's going to be helpful, and also to check our intentions behind it. Why do we want to open ourselves? Why do we want to expose something? Is there any intention of maybe attaining something from that? You see, or it's really part of the cleansing process? And so I think there are many things, in it. So I don't know. I really think that in general terms, there is a huge difference in the Brahmin family in the times of Brahma Baba, in which they used to do these courts, and the Brahmin family nowadays, in terms of safety, basically. Because we tend to create so much idealization of each other, and we project so much in each other, and we expect so much of each other, then even without the intention, we are not trustworthy anymore. No, it's because, and so I think that we have to be very selective in terms of to whom you are able to open yourself to, and with which intention, basically.
Sister Rajni, you've had the fortune of being supported by and mentored by so many senior instruments. Perhaps if you could share some learnings or insights in terms of, I suppose, being able to be in that vulnerable space. When we come before a senior, we do feel safe.
I took a lot of my mentor work from Dadi Guzar and Dadi Janki, definitely. And every year I come and then I ask Dadi Guzar, oh Dadi, where am I in my life? Because I talk to her, very practical what I go through, you know. So it was few years ago, I was with Dadi, I think it's 3 years ago, I think, and or 4 years ago. So I said, Dadi, what is my stage now? Do you think I'm reaching somewhere? Karmatit, perfect, whatever word you use. So Dadi said, not yet. I said, oh Dadi, what happened? So very friendly way. So that friendship, that safety, that clean, secure feeling, I felt from Dadi always. And then I said, Dadi, how do you know that I am going towards perfection? She said, oh, when you speak about any problem, I check if you are affected, then it means your discernment power not yet fully being used. Oh, how much I have, Dadi, now? At that time I asked. Dadi says 75. Oh, Dadi, still I have to work? Yes, you have to work. You got affected. That's why you talk. You know? So it means your connection of perfection is, or solving your problem is connecting with your discernment power, she said. Discrimination power. Discern and decide. So if you get affected by anything, then it will be in your mind thinking, or you will be talking about it. You know? So your discernment power is not yet complete 100%, which can think solution and clear it up and move forward. Oh, I see. So like that, very beautiful, like an aspect of understanding my journey, very safe way, friendly way, you know, we used to do with Dadi Gulzar. That is my, like what you are saying, open up to selective people. Because many years I have been with under Dadi's, sustenance from Delhi. So I kept that my internal journey connected with her, So yes, we do need to see where to go, safe, and then being detached, and then working on that. So I found that it was very nice that way. So safe and selective is good. But many experiences I have with Dadis. Dadi Janki also, if I make a mistake, Dadi tells in front of the face, you made a mistake today. Oh, acha Dadi, light, be light. No need to feel bad or heavy. No? Dadi told us in front of thousands of people, you made a mistake today. Oh, acha Dadi, tell me what mistake, I will pay attention. Huh? So, safe, but also inside our connection is beneficial relationship, so no hurt at all. So that thing is nice,
Is this an aspect of dying alive, do you think?
Die alive?
Yeah, I was thinking about, I forget which Yagya figure it was, who had a mantra of die, 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 bow, 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 learn,
yes,
learn,
yes.
learn.
Queen Mother's mantra.
Queen Mother.
Yeah.
So in terms of being able to face our weaknesses.
Yeah. Yes, because I think I brought up with Dadis, they do tell you in front of your face. But they tell with the beneficial something which does not hurt the soul, doesn't disturb. That's what my experience is with them. They tell on the face, this is the mistake. Okay? Okay, Dadi. Please tell me them, how I can do. Okay, I can pay attention. A beautiful way, a friendly relationship. In Hindi we call it pure relationship, Sakhi. Sakhi is a very nice word. So, Didi Manmohini and Dadi Janki were Sakhi. They could talk to that level. Didi, you tell me what mistake I am making. Dadi used to ask Didi. Didi used to ask Dadi. That beautiful. So, if we cannot get any selective, but there are some souls who are also making good effort in their life, and that level friendship, not the other level friendship, favorism, preference, I get along with this soul, I am comfortable with this soul I will tell my heart, they will not spread here, there, but I am not getting that kind of sustenance of jnani solutions or whatever. No? So I think that kind of friendship, healthy friendship, where we can really talk as a detached observer about that weakness. What I am going through, what you are going, how that weakness we can remove. Very beautiful understanding we can share, and we can also check and change ourselves. I think that we can do with souls also. I do many times with many souls. Nowadays, you cannot find selective or didis or dadis, but also my aim is to build that kind of relationship with souls, So that also helps.
And also thinking about this thing of the risk, that the worst that can happen is that you learn something, and you also kind of have the opportunity to take responsibility for whatever has happened, and do something, and decide to do something.
So imagine someone in the room is listening, or someone's listening to a recording of this, and they've drawn some inspiration, and they think, yes, I really want to make more effort. I think sometimes when we hear more effort, we think we're going to sit for meditation longer or do more service, but this kind of effort where there's a deeper level of honesty.
That's right.
So perhaps when they look inside, they find something very dark. Maybe the soul is carrying some trauma. Maybe they realize there's an addiction or some shame, or perhaps there's some deep-seated anger. What would be your guidance? And given that, unlike Rajni, most of us don't have that access to the daddies or the very high seniors, when people have that courage to look at those very dark shadows, what would your guidance or advice be to them?
What you will tell them?
Well, I think the first step is to accept that it is a part of my reality, it's a part of my life. And for me, when I realized that the shadows are my creation, they are inside of me. There is nobody else inside of me except me. So if it is inside of me, I have created it at some point of time in history, and it is still hanging in there, maybe from 17th century or 14th century, or whenever it emerged, it's still hanging in that part of the soul, and it is my creation. And because it's my creation, I can recreate it or delete it, because it is in my hand, and that is the moment I get the power over it. If I blame the world or blame my parents or blame society or daddy or someone, drama, if I'm blaming someone, I'm helpless. I've lost it. I'm powerless. But if I claim the power and say, okay, I created this, it was a part of drama, we went through many, many lifetimes, we had to develop, we had to face different situations, and these qualities, they emerge as part of that. as part of Iron Age. And it was my creation, and then I have also the power to change it. And that is the moment of truth and power. When that realization comes, it is all in my hand. I'm not a victim. It's nobody else can do it. I do it with Baba, but I cannot wait for anyone else to take a decision about it. I have to take that decision myself and take a good look at it, hard look at it, and claim that power. And I've noticed that when that happens, I'm able to hold much more of Baba's power and Baba's love. Because if I don't clean these shadows, they will hold Baba's light away. Because if I want to become powerful, if I want to become like Baba, or let's say if I want to become like Daddy, a little bit more powerful, I have to move the shadows away. Because if I'm taking in power from Baba, the shadows are going to erupt, and that's uncomfortable. And the reaction to that eruption is that I make myself weak again, because I don't like to be uncomfortable. So it is so important to do this cleaning so that I can hold more of Baba's power and hold more of Baba's love. I cannot hold that love if something else keeps erupting and I become uncomfortable. So the cleaning bit has to be done, and I think it doesn't have to take long. We can do in 2-3 hours a lot of cleaning, and we can hold like 50% more power or 50% more of Baba's love after.
I think that this whole process of recognizing something and, as I said, and accept and be able to see and accept and give a name and disidentify yourself from that. I think that one of the things which is important is really to somehow to cultivate these feelings which has to do with the soul conscious, which has to do with your perfect being. And then you are able to recognize that all that weaknesses, it's not you, no? As Tor was saying, it's something which was kind of added. There are things which were added to you as time goes by, so it's not you. And I was thinking also in terms of, of course it's easier to deal with an enemy that you know that with something that you don't know, which these blind spots or whatever. And I was also thinking that share this has to do with this process of becoming aware, no? Like the reason why we are going to share, even with the seniors, is much more to be, to help you to be able to see and to be honest regarding that thing, than really to wait for a solution. Because I think that sometimes we as Brahmins, we tend to want to help each other. So it's like someone comes and tells you something and immediately you want to help, you want to somehow to help the person. And I think that we also have to be mature, and we are all adults, no? We are not children anymore. So I think that each one of us has capacity to deal with our own stuff. And if we need, we ask for help from the right person, no? So I was thinking that this is another thing that sometimes creates a little bit of obstacles in terms of sharing, no? Is this tendency that, I don't know, we kind of have some power in other people's lives, and we think that we can solve their problems.
Om Shanti. I nowadays one soul I will say helping, no, not the word helping, perhaps inspiring or motivating.
Mentoring.
Yeah, time to time to, ask, how is your process going on? How is your, that what you went through trauma in your life? How are you now? Any, sharing It's just to give a chance to be available, because sometimes souls don't go also everywhere. So I feel be available. Just even one word, I am available anytime we can share. So at least in their mind, they know there is some place we can share. So nowadays, I am doing this, motivating one soul. So, big trauma, but I found keeping that availability, even through WhatsApp, I just write, oh, I'm in Madhuban, these are the things happening, just to see that soul response, then, oh, I will see you when I come back, like that. So available, and check, and then any help you need, So to me, that is also big help for the souls. Because these are very big, deep accounts of karma. It's not in a 1 day or 2 days it will go back, this memory finishes. It keeps coming because it's deep. We don't know which birth, how many people, what we went through. So many deep account of sorrow, soul baggage is carrying. I remember one example Baba gives in the Murli that Dadi Janki told us in the class. Dadi Janki once she brought one, she asked Brahma Baba, Baba, shall I bring this student from one center? And he has made many mistakes. Will you allow that soul to come to Madhuban? And Baba said, yes, child, bring the tell the student to come. And when that soul came, and Baba sit on the floor, and that soul, Baba told that soul, okay, you write all your every birth, whatever memory you have, or this birth mistake, you write, take out all this. And then Baba created a little furnace, fireplace. Baba said, put this letter there, child. And the word Baba uses, ajamil word. Ajamil is a mind which indulges in what you call sin, whatever we can call it, yeah? Like that, no self-respect, no power, no dignity, it goes back there. So, that kind of mind. So Baba said, okay child, write. So merciful Baba, no? So he wrote, he burned, and then Baba said, okay child, you go and take bath, and then Baba will meet you later. So he went to took bath, then Baba said, now all your, memories you wrote and gone, now you are with self-respect. Who are you? Baba helped like that. Little methods Baba used with such kind of minds at that time also. Many stories like that we heard. How Baba uplifted a Jabil minds like that. So that soul, Baba how kept 1 week here, every day talk, be available, process, and help the soul to come out from that shame, guilt, trauma, whatever heavy account was. Big help to someone, no? 1 week to keep, and every day pay attention. So these little methods we have seen Brahma Baba have used.
So in that instance, it was Brahma Baba's inspiration that was the source of courage. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The soul needs also courage. Yeah, soul needs courage. Otherwise they don't tell also. They don't tell. They have no courage, they will not say.
In thinking about the topic, I remember one conversation where someone used the phrase that quiet courage is needed. And when we think of the word courage, often it's very external and there's a sense of strength, but it's a very quiet courage that is needed to look inside and to be in that vulnerable space. Can I ask each of you where that courage might come from?
Very quiet courage. We don't need to talk, huh? Just be quiet.
I would like to reflect on what Rachini was saying, that there are so many methods to deal with our things, and like Brahma Baba was using this method of writing and burning, We use that a lot in Iceland also. But I think it is also part of our, we all come from different cultures. And each culture has certain methods, like India has histories, all the stories. We don't have that in the West. So we have to invent other methods to deal with what we are facing. And I think in the West we look more into psychology, into what is available in each culture. And I think that in the East, like Japan, and there are different methods, and Brazil there's different stories. So I think that Baba says, make effort with 20 nails. It's like you have to find what works for you. I have to find what works for me. The main thing is that I become closer to Baba and get rid of what is in the way. And I believe that we need to be a little bit creative. Like now we don't have daddies like we used to have them. We don't have that support. We have each other, and we need to step up and be the support for each other, stop being critical at anyone, and really invent new things that have not been invented before. Be the inventors. Because there is a call for something new now. The new world is really emerging, and we are slipping into it, and we need to really do something completely new. That is my desire, or my need, to find something new, because newness will bring newness.
One thing more I want to add, only 1 minute. This is right, every culture can do. But what I experimented in past few months, that this 2 a.m. yoga, I found this is a very beautiful, such a vibration which helps the soul. It's the mind which can, like no other thought enters in the mind. 2 o'clock when I sit in yoga, no other thought comes. It is the purest, that vibration I can experience. 4 o'clock many devotees also get up. There's some different vibration, but 2 o'clock, very nice. So if I really want to get out of all these karmic account, go to golden age memories or whatever, really to finish all this bhogna is the suffering of any kind of memories which are very incognito of any birth. I found that 2 o'clock to 5, why Brahma Baba Mama and these dadis tell in the Murli, Baba, children get up, get up. So now we understand, because the vibrations are so purest, and the mind can experience the most positive energy in the world at that time from Baba. Then the whole day mind works with those wavelengths. So these memories replaces. That's what I found is very powerful too. Sometimes people have no money to go to psychologists to spend, or this is also another way to experiment. So I found this one also helped.
I think that this courage comes from the aim and this realization that all these blockages doesn't allow me really to see Baba, to see truth, to see the full picture. No, it's to always kind of be an obstacle inside, for me to be satisfied, basically. So I think that this realization of, how much I lose can be one of the aspects that gives me this courage, but also to hold, I think, the right awareness in terms of who I am, and anyway, I think that's for me what works.
So at what point, because there will come a time when we stop being vulnerable, and what would that look like? So the vulnerability that we're working through, it's never permanent. It always tells us that this is a process of change. So there will reach a point where we work through that, and we will get to the other side. Baba's guaranteed that. So what point would that be? And perhaps drawing on your own imagination or your own insights, own experiences, what would that look like? How would you describe it to anyone here?
Freedom.
Me too.
Freedom.
Freedom.
Liberation, mukti.
Karmatit.
Karma, mukti.
Kind of but without being so much kind of...
indulging.
No, indulging, but also affected, basically, no? Kind of unaffected.
I think I see an obstacle-free Brahmin life where the bumps are gone, the relationships are sweet, and there is harmony and unity and cooperation in the center. And then we are automatically become great donors, great bestowers, and really proper instruments for Baba. And I think we are just about to get there, and I think many are already touching on that experience. And like Mohini was saying yesterday, she's sitting there. She's sitting there and just a bestower in her seat. And I think that is the place where we are just about to take now. And it's a wonderful place to go to, I think. Free from all obstacles. Free.
Internal conflict finished.
Internal
conflict
finished.
That struggle, battle, Brahma Baba went through, but he did not take too long to struggle. 1 minute, process whatever is coming, get the victorious thinking, go out. Freedom, a double light stage. I think most important, happiness. Internally very happy in life. Very, very happy. That is, I think, the beautiful thing. Looks like that. What is
I agree with this idea of freedom, but also non-affected by anything.
Okay.
Even you get affected, one second.
1 second.
Then you can come out. Still very safe. Once I asked Gulzar Dadi said to us, scene of drama will come. You can see it, listen about it, but don't allow your mind to keep on thinking about it. So when you allow your mind to keep on thinking about it, that is called affect. Then you get flu, she said. Flu, pain. So chintan, in the Hindi, the word she used. One thought, I saw the scene of drama, I heard something, insult, defamation, problem, some sickness, something. And my mind went into thinking and thinking and thinking. That's called affected. Then you got disease, flu, pain. So she says, stop there. You heard, finish. You saw, finished, full stop. Go into beneficial thinking, positive thought. That is unaffected. The process will be there. Things will happen, continue to happen, but how long I stay in thinking about that?
I think it certainly inspires me to know that more and more my mind is becoming a more and more beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
I think that this is the golden age, not just what we see on the picture up on the wall, that our internal world is also a very, very beautiful place to be. So just to finish, the topic we started with was a question. And so I thought it would be nice to actually hear from each of you your answer to the question. So to remind you, the question, where or what is the benefit in having the courage to be vulnerable? So just to summarise, where or what is the benefit in having the courage to be vulnerable?
Where and what is the benefit?
I think it's all that we spoke about, no? And I think that there is just a benefit, basically. No? I mean, you learn, and then you recognize, and then you move on, and you kind of develop a more truthful identity of yourself. You start to see what is next, what is on the other side. You remove the blockages. You kind of trust yourself better. So many things.
Yeah, I think it's so beneficial. I have put my journey in my life. It's so beautiful journey. It is so good to know myself, my weaknesses, and be alert that how I can overcome it and proceed further. My future is beautiful. Why not to know myself so well? I think it's nice journey.
I think that obstacles have been the helping stones on the way, and that when we come through, it's like the stones we've been stepping on to get across the river, and then we come to this beautiful consciousness of Golden Age, and it's all inside of us, and it will be reflected in our surrounding, in the physical reality. So I think it is just the process. This vulnerability bit is the process, and then to make us whole and strong and powerful and full of Baba's love, like Baba. I mean, it's just the process to get there. So it's an enjoyable journey. It's just that we don't have to be afraid of it. I think that is the trick. Don't be afraid of it. It's just tiger paper. It's just paper. It's like a dragon without teeth. We are just pulling the teeth out of the dragon, and then he's like he's a funny creature, like a puppet show. And it's an easy game.
When you take out teeth, no pain, huh?
Yeah.
Dentist.
So
They can ask.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you. It was a wonderful panel and discussion. It's not a question, it's more like a sharing, if I may. I'm not quite sure if that is okay.
Please.
Is it okay? Okay. So, according to what you were sharing, what I felt as well was that dignity can come only when we are really, truly engaged with God. That's the real dignity. Because otherwise it's just a social fake, whatever. And we accept what daddies say to us while helping us to progress, because we have regard for them. And that's the reason why sometimes we feel uncomfortable or offended with who else is just telling us anything. So the progress for me would be to start from the point that every single soul is God's child, so that makes it very easy for me to accept whatever comes. And vulnerability for me is like being with the flow. If I'm not with the flow, if I don't go with the flow, that means that I will struggle, because I don't accept that the flow means to adapt as a metamorphosis stage, to adapt each single step for the aim of my life, which is, as you know, I don't need to tell in this gathering. And yes, sometimes we struggle with things from the past, and that doesn't mean that whenever we do something wrong, offend somebody, or do something less right, sometimes it can be unconsciously, which means things that comes really from the past. So these were things that all of you were telling beautifully. And so in that case, we have to understand that sometimes people come from other spots of experience, and it's not consciously that they are doing it wrong, or even us. So we have to find a way to get out of that. And courage, for me, means maturity. So there must be a reason for the word, the French word, meaning the age of the heart. Age of the heart. Courage, if we split up the word. So there is no aging without experiencing, so that means maturity. That's it. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else who would like to come and ask a question?
I'll do my best to articulate it. All of you talked about when, how we progress, when people do things to us or say things to us, and about our stage. But I think in Brahman life there comes a time when maybe the coin flips and we're the perpetrator, and that also we don't do the right thing, or we don't say the right thing, or we get involved in the power games, and that in a way can leave you more vulnerable than when you're the victim. I don't know if anyone wants to address. Does that make sense? That is the question. I think all of us will be tested on being the victim. Someone said something to us, someone did something to us. In some ways that's easier than when you're the perpetrator. You're the one who's not doing the right thing. You're the one who's the judgment. You're the one who's playing the power games. And I think we'll get tested on everything. Mm-hmm. So, but it can leave you in more of a state of vulnerability, because you've done the wrong thing, and then how do you put it right in some ways?
I think that is a very good viewpoint to see also, because and then we need to have the courage to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, to really acknowledge that we did make a mistake, and to see that reality, and not to try to cover it up. I think that is the key thing, to be completely truthful, because of course we make mistake every day. We have waste thoughts, we have judgmental thoughts, and to grab it and see it and really say to Baba, sorry, I made a mistake, I judged this person, or I had these waste thoughts about someone. To be so alert and to be always ready to ask for forgiveness. We don't have to do it maybe personally. In some cases it may be useful to say, I'm sorry, I stepped on your toes. But mainly to do it internally, to have that realization that I was under an influence of anger, or I was under influence of whatever it was I was under influence, to really face that part, because if we don't face it, we will repeat it. So we have to do it only once, don't to repeat it. And the easy method is to say, I'm sorry.
I agree with what Thor was saying, but I think that your question, actually, I would like just to reinforce this aspect of each one of us really, really being able to check how trustworthy are we, kind of how open we are to understand from where the other one is coming, how out of the box are we able to think so that we can create a kind of empathy with the story that the other one wants to share. How much are we judging the others? How much are we kind of creating kind of ideals of others? How much are we projecting ourselves on others? How much we put ourselves as kind of defensors of truth? And in the name of truth, we are just not trustworthy anymore. So I think these are things that each one of us has to kind of ask ourselves, because at the end of the day, we are the ones who are the yagya, basically, So I think each one of us.
Yeah, I agree with Patricia. Really, one has to be very open, trustworthy, honest. Really, because I found that when this scene of drama in front of me came, And then when I sit in yoga, disturbance was there. I said, I don't like this disturbance in my yoga. Then I learned I need to be open. I need to talk heart to heart, be very clear. That helped me, to get out of my own old, sanskar, habit, whatever. So I think it is true, open and to be honest and trustworthy. Otherwise, this also is a very big thing, blocking to go closer to Baba even. Disturbance comes. That soul can pull the mind. I saw, wow, why my mind is going towards that particular soul. So that's why I found, sit down, be open, also talk. Where am I in my journey? What you find in me? What is disturbing? Just open communication, understanding about our process. That's I found it was easy to get out. That's my experience.
So maybe if this is our last question.
Om Shanti. I just wondered if you have an answer to when you share something, a vulnerability about yourself to someone and they break your trust.
There will probably come up a feeling, maybe anger, maybe more distrust, and that is what I need to look at then. Because this is a reflection. I trust something happens in the drama in front, and a feeling emerges inside. And it is that feeling inside that I need to address. And to take it to Baba, maybe write a letter, say, I'm experiencing being betrayed, whatever the scene is, and this is the experience that I'm going through, and I want to give this to Baba, and then to work it completely inside. In cases like that, it is probably not the best thing to go and to accuse again, to hit back, but to take it and work it internally completely, because it is probably a long story behind an event like that. Maybe a very, very deep wound. And that wound has to be addressed and healed and given to Baba. And Baba is the healer for these things. So I would really look at it, process it in that way.
I think that maybe, you never know the reasons of the other person, but try to make the best of it somehow. With the person, with the situation. At the end of the day, it's all about being vulnerable anyway, so.
No, my experience is, yes, some souls they broke trust, but afterwards I realized not to stop my true friendship with them. I kept my godly, loving, staying in my self-respect, even though I knew, but I want, these things I learned from Dadi. So we used to talk to them, that Dadi, this thing comes, what to do? Now you are asking me, I also share with you my experience. Yes, I kept my godly, loving relationship because this is the best. These things will come and go. We don't know under what influences souls are working, but this is my family, godly family. So keep that loving feelings for the soul. Keep very safe also that, so that their soul itself can realize what they have to change. That is my experience. And one last point, is okay? One more, only 1 second. One thing I pay attention, which Dadi told us also, that Brahma Baba, when 300 Brahmins were staying with Brahma Baba, Daddy said, Baba taught them that when you come into relationship with each other, and 3 things you pay attention: push, force, argue. Don't do these 3. Push, force, argue about your idea. If you want to give your idea and the other mind not so inspired to accept your idea, so don't push, don't force, don't argue. It will break relationship. So keep your relationship godly and loving, and later when their mind ready to accept, you can talk again. So that is very important to keep our relationship also good. Om Shanti. Big story.
So I'd like to thank our panelists for sharing very openly their experiences, their insights and their wisdom. So I'd invite you all to give a little clap or thanks for our panelists.